feel like gaming just isn't moving forward anymore? Like, yeah, sure, the graphics look shinier, the frame rates are smoother, but deep down, it all kind of feels like the same loop. Different coat of paint, same old formula. Well, it turns out I'm not the only one who's been feeling that. Sean Layden, the former PlayStation boss, and Hideo Kojima, the legendary mind behind Metal Gear and Death Stranding, they've both said the same thing in their own way. Gaming has stalled. We've stopped evolving. And you know what's really eating at me lately? There's a crisis in talent right now. Like, actually, you can feel it. And nowhere is it more obvious than when you look at something like Outer Worlds 2. I'm sorry, but every bit of marketing around that game just feels cringe. Like it's overcompensating.
Guten Tag, Gamescom. Look at this. Tens of thousands of Europeans packed into one building in the dead of summer with absolutely no air conditioning. This is the type of dystopia we here at Obsidian Entertainment absolutely respect.
Hey guys, look at us. We're funny, we're self-aware, we're quirky. Yeah, but where's the game? Where's the craftsmanship? I've been biting my tongue on this for a year, but screw it. Outer Worlds 2 looks like an early PS4 launch title, and this is 2025. We're deep into the generation. We've seen what's possible. We've seen God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, even AA projects in Unreal 5 that wow you on a budget. So why does this look like it was cobbled together from 2013? And look, I get it. Graphics aren't everything, but let's not pretend they don't matter. When you're charging premium prices, I expect premium effort. And here's where it crosses the line. They had the audacity to slap an $80 price tag on it. $80 for that? Then, surprise, surprise, the backlash hits and suddenly they're walking it back. Bruh, sell it for $50 and I'll buy it. Hell, I'd champion it if the value matched the price. But this whole thing just screams tone-deaf corporate greed. Look at Mafia, the old country. That game isn't perfect. It's not massive, it's short, but it knows exactly what it is. It's polished, it's beautiful, and it's priced fairly. You walk away feeling like you got your money's worth. That's the key. Meanwhile, these so-called quadruple A projects, seriously, who even came up with that label, are trying to shove mediocre products down our throats at $70 or $80 a pop. And the insane part, they're getting outclassed left and right by $40 and $50 AA games that actually respect the player. And that's exactly what Sean Layden's been warning about. He says gaming has plateaued, that we're obsessing over hardware upgrades that barely matter anymore. I mean, really, 90 frames per second versus 120? Who cares? Most players can't even tell the difference. That's not evolution. That's marketing. And the industry keeps throwing billions into these tech arms races, while the actual craft of making meaningful, surprising games is falling apart. Layden's solution. He wants games to be cheaper, simpler. He wants hardware that doesn't cost a fortune just to run the same types of games we've been playing for 10 years. And above all, he wants more room for the middle class of games, the AA titles, because that's where risks still get taken. That's where new ideas still have space to breathe. Not in these bloated AAA blockbusters that take a decade to make and still feel copy-pasted, but in mid-budget games that actually have personality. And then you've got Kojima, who's frustrated in a different way. He looks at the creative side of things and says, flat out, too many games look the same, play the same, sell themselves the same. Watch any major showcase, and you'll see it. Aliens, medieval monsters, space marines, all with the same moody lighting and the same dramatic trailer beats. It's formulaic, it's safe, and safe is boring. Kojima says the real boldness is happening in the indie scene. That's where people can still afford to experiment, to fail, to make something weird that might just blow your mind. Meanwhile, the big studios are so terrified of risk that they'd rather give you the same game over and over, dressed up in shinier visuals. It's why he rewrote Death Stranding 2 mid-development, because his first draft tested too well. Too safe, too comfortable. He doesn't want comfortable. He wants polarizing. He wants games that make you argue with your friends about whether they're brilliant or terrible. That's how he defines growth. And when you put Layden's and Kojima's critiques together, you start to see the bigger picture. It's not just that gaming has plateaued, it's that the industry has forgotten what evolution actually looks like. Evolution isn't squeezing 5 extra frames out of your GPU. It's not marketing yourself as quirky while charging $80 for a PS4 era product. And it's definitely not playing it so safe that every trailer feels like deja vu. Evolution is risk. It's surprise. It's value. It's making something that feels new, even if it divides people. And right now, gaming is failing at all of that. The talent pool has thinned out, the innovation has stalled, and publishers think slapping a higher price tag magically makes a game premium. But it doesn't. Players see through screw it. When a $40 AA game wipes the floor with your so-called quadruple A epic, that's not just embarrassing, that's proof the system is broken. And honestly, I want to invite you to do something. Go back. Seriously, go dust off your older games. Spider-Man 2018, God of War 2018, The Last of Us Remake, Uncharted 4, Ghost of Tsushima. Play them again. And look, I don't mean just go pull up some YouTube gameplay. Nah, that doesn't cut it. You need to play these games again. Get the controller in your hands, feel the movement, the weight, the flow. That's how you actually notice the effort. Because when you're just watching, you miss the little things. The timing, the responsiveness, the way animations blend into each other, the way a camera angle makes a scene hit harder. All that gets lost if you're just passively looking at a screen. Take Spider-Man 2018. You swing through New York and you feel the tension in the webs. The momentum shifts when you dive and swing at the last second, and it's flawless. Or God of War 2018. The way every axe swing has weight, the way the impact rattles your controller, the way Kratos just feels powerful. That doesn't come through in a clip. You only get it when you're the one holding the controller. Same with Uncharted 4. The way Nathan Drake stumbles, catches himself, reloads mid-sprint. It's also seamless. You replay it now and you realize, damn, this is still ahead of half the industry. And Ghost of Tsushima, that's not just graphics, that's artistry. The way the wind guides you instead of a clunky UI. The way a duel feels like you're stepping into a samurai film. It's elegance in design that only clicks when you're playing. And that's my point. Those older games weren't just technically impressive, they were built with this obsessive attention to detail that you can feel in your hands. Every animation, every sound cue, every little design choice screams passion. Compare that to today, where so many new releases look flashy in trailers, but feel soulless when you actually play them. The difference is night and day. It's not all doom and gloom, because while a lot of the industry feels like it's stuck in neutral, there's a reason PlayStation still dominates. And if you need proof, just look at Ghost of Yōte's appearance at Gamescom. That trailer, it didn't disappoint. Not only are we getting one of the most anticipated sequels of the year dropping this October, but Sucker Punch went the extra mile and confirmed Free Legends multiplayer DLC coming in 2026. Free. Not a $40 add-on, not some half-baked live service pass. Free. And that's the kind of move that reminds you why Sony and its studios still sit at the top of the mountain. The trailer itself didn't show too much, just enough to tease, but the promise was clear. 2-player story missions, 4-player survival matches, new demonic giant versions of the Yōte 6 as bosses, and a variety of fresh enemy types. It's the kind of content that doesn't just pad out the game, it deepens it. And the fact that Sucker Punch is dropping this on top of an already stacked single-player release, that's respect, that's trust in the audience. And here's the crazy part. While other studios are stumbling around with $80 quadruple A disappointments, Sony is delivering the goods without nickel and diming their players. Mafia. The Old Country showed how pricing and polish go hand in hand. Ghost of Yōte shows how you double down on value and build community goodwill. That's why people keep showing up for PlayStation. That's why they dominate showcase numbers, why their trailers trend, why their exclusives set the tone for the rest of the industry. So yeah, Sean Layden's right. We've plateaued on tech. Kojima's right. Too many games look the same. And honestly, the talent pool is thinner than it's ever been. But moments like Ghost of Yōte prove there's still a path forward. Because when you combine ambition, polish, and fair value, players respond. They'll show up. They'll support you. They'll champion you. That's the bigger picture here. Gaming's not dead. It's not beyond saving. But the companies trying to charge $80 for mediocrity while hiding behind self-aware trailers, they're the ones dragging it down. The ones who still care about craftsmanship, about making something that feels like an event. They're the ones keeping this whole thing alive. So maybe the real question isn't, has gaming stopped evolving? Maybe it's, who's still brave enough to make it evolve? Layden thinks the AA space could spark it. Kojima thinks it's the indies. And right now, Sony's proving the blockbuster space isn't beyond hope either. If you actually put in the work, if you actually respect the player, you can still create those magical moments that make this whole hobby feel alive again. And for me, watching Ghost of Yōte at Gamescom, knowing we're just weeks away from its launch, reminded me exactly why I fell in love with this industry in the first place. Because when it's good, when it's firing on all cylinders, there's nothing else like it.
You're going to have to kill me for that to happen. I warned you.
Finally.
So here's the deal. Sony's had some kind of September presentation every single year for the last 6 years. State of play, showcase, whatever. They don't miss September. And according to Jeff Grubb, who, let's be real, has been spot on more times than not, that streak's not stopping in 2025. On his Game Mess morning show, right around the 20-minute mark, Grubb flat out said, yeah, expect a state of play, maybe even a showcase before the end of September. And he even joked about how comfortable he felt saying it, like, go ahead, write headlines about this. So yeah, this feels pretty locked in. Now, what's interesting is we don't actually know much about Sony's slate for the rest of 2025. Outside of Ghost of Yōte, it's kind of a mystery box, which makes September the perfect window. After Gamescom wraps up, PlayStation has the floor to finally tell us what's coming next. And honestly, they need to. The last state of play in June, mostly third-party updates and stuff slated for 2026. Cool, but not exactly hype for this year. So if we're really getting another state of play in September, I'm hoping it's a bit meatier. We need those near-term updates. What's dropping in the next few months? What's hitting before the holidays? Because right now, it's quiet, and Sony doesn't stay quiet in September. Man, I honestly thought we'd never hear about The Last of Us Online again. I thought it was gone, buried, done. But now it looks like it might live on in a different way. The director who was leading that project, yeah, he's got a brand new studio now, and he's openly talking about making something pretty similar. This dude spent like a decade at Naughty Dog. He worked on Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2. He even handled boss fights like the final duel in Uncharted 4 and that brutal Ellie versus Abby showdown. His whole thing was making AI fights feel like you were up against a real player. Now he's saying, what if we took Naughty Dog's cinematic action and fused it with multiplayer? That's basically his mission with this new studio. He set up shop in Japan, teamed up with another former Naughty Dog creative director in the US. And right now, they've only got about 10 people. The plan is to scale up to 30, and he says they've already been playtesting a prototype every week. And yeah, it's probably just gray box stuff right now. Everyone running around in blocky levels with placeholder models. I've done gray box testing before. It looks dumb, but it's also kind of cool because you can already see the bones of the game forming. Now, let's be real. Naughty Dog officially canned The Last of Us Online because it was getting too big. They straight up admitted that to properly support it, they'd have to turn the whole studio into a live service machine, basically become Bungie. And Naughty Dog was like, nope, we'd rather stick to single-player stories. Honestly, right call. But obviously, the people working on it poured years into this thing, so they weren't just gonna shrug and move on. And look, this guy's resume speaks for itself. You walk into a meeting with investors and say, yeah, I directed multiplayer and boss fights at Naughty Dog, worked on Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy, Last of Us Part 2. Boom! Money thrown at you. So yeah, they'll get funding. They'll be fine. What's wild is the timing. Jim Ryan leaves PlayStation. Suddenly, a bunch of live service projects get scrapped, including this one. Doesn't feel like a coincidence. My guess? PlayStation finally said, all right, enough of this push. Let's get back to what works. And Naughty Dog was more than happy to oblige. So now we've got this triple indie project brewing, basically their way of carrying the spirit of The Last of Us Online into a new game without all the Sony baggage. Don't expect it to look like a Naughty Dog blockbuster. Going indie means fewer resources, less polish, more pragmatism. That's a big shift. But sometimes those constraints lead to really creative stuff. Do I think The Last of Us Online will ever officially see the light of day? Nah, I don't. Maybe bits of it get recycled in Part 3. Maybe a map shows up and Naughty Dog quietly reuses it. But as a full game, I think it's locked away forever. So, sorry, Xbox fans. Not this time. Earlier this year, Microsoft basically came out and said they're stepping away from the whole console exclusive strategy. And yeah, on one hand, that's cool. More people get to play more games, right? But here's the flip side. Sony is not playing the same game. In fact, the more we're seeing, the more it looks like PlayStation has zero plans to ease up on keeping their big single-player blockbusters locked down to PS5. Think about it. Over the last few years, PlayStation players have gotten Death Stranding 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Spider-Man 2, all locked to PS5 at launch. And they're not stopping. Insomniac still has Wolverine cooking in the oven, and that thing is going to be a monster. Naturally, Xbox fans are sitting there wondering, okay, if Microsoft is opening up, maybe Sony will too, right? Well, according to a new report, nope. This comes from industry insider Millie Amand. And yeah, her track record is a little hit or miss, but what she's saying lines up with Sony's history. Basically, Sony does not factor Xbox into its premium content plans. Translation: if it's one of their big cinematic single-player projects, don't hold your breath waiting for it to come to Xbox. Not Spider-Man, not Wolverine, not Ghost of Tsushima 2, not whatever Naughty Dog is working on. Those games are staying PlayStation 5 only. Now, there is a caveat here. Multiplayer, live service stuff, that's different. We're already seeing it with Helldivers 2 heading to Xbox, and even Final Fantasy 16 made the jump earlier this year. So yeah, Sony's more open to expanding the multiplayer and ongoing revenue games because that's about player base and microtransactions. But their crown jewel single-player experiences, forget about it. Those are locked. Timed exclusives like Final Fantasy aren't even owned by Sony. They're deals. Those eventually hit other platforms, like what happened with Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. You know, I don't think I've ever seen the Call of Duty community this split before. People are actually starting to say it out loud. Call of Duty has lost its identity. And the scary part, they might not be wrong. Let's be real here. Black Ops 7 should have been a slam dunk. It's Treyarch, it's Black Ops. It's supposed to be the safe brand of COD. But instead, what are people complaining about? The same stuff we've been warning Activision about for years. Bloated menus, oversized installs, cheaters everywhere, and a whole layer of nonsense cosmetics that make the game look more like Fortnite than a military shooter. I mean, when players are running around with neon anime skins and goddamn celebrities plastered across the operators, doesn't it feel like the original soul of COD just evaporated? And this isn't just the fans talking out of frustration. Even Mike Ibarra, the former president of Blizzard, came out swinging. He basically said COD has gotten lazy, stale. And you know what? He didn't just stop there. He straight up said Battlefield 6 might boot stomp Black Ops 7. Think about that. A former Blizzard exec publicly calling COD out for being a bloated, chaotic nightmare. That's not something you just brush off. Meanwhile, Battlefield is out here quietly flipping the script. Their beta just smashed records. Over 500,000 concurrent players on Steam. That's more than any COD beta has ever pulled. Twitch streams were packed too. Almost 1 million viewers just watching people blow up skyscrapers and tanks roll through crumbling cities. And you look at the numbers on Google Trends. You check the hype online. People are genuinely excited for Battlefield 6 in a way we haven't seen in a long time. But here's where it gets interesting. Battlefield isn't perfect either. Some fans are calling out the smaller maps, saying it doesn't feel like the massive all-out warfare DICE keeps promising. And when you shrink Battlefield down into tight infantry-only corridors, let's be honest, it starts to feel a little COD-ish, which is ironic, right? COD is busy turning itself into Fortnite, while Battlefield risks turning into COD Light. Still, if you spend any time on Reddit right now, you'll see how raw the frustration is. People are saying flat out, COD has become shit. We're sick of the Fortnite skins. Another one said, COD has lost its path. It's a bloated, chaotic nightmare now. And maybe my favorite, I forever mourn the days when COD releases were actually good, but I'm really rooting for EA and DICE this year. You don't see that kind of honesty unless the community is really done. So, Black Myth Zhongli just dropped its reveal trailer, and everybody seems to be buzzing about it. But me, I'm not impressed. And here's why. It's just CGI. And if we've learned anything from the past couple of years, it's that CGI trailers don't mean squat when it comes to how the final game actually plays. They're just marketing smoke and mirrors. Let's not forget what just happened with Black Myth Wukong. That game had been hyped for years, with all these jaw-dropping gameplay trailers that looked like it was going to redefine the Souls-like genre. But when it actually launched, yeah, the visuals were great, but the technical state, rough. On PC, people were drowning in stutters, shader compilation issues, frame drops. On PlayStation 5, the game was choppy, unstable, and just didn't feel optimized. So when I see another shiny CGI trailer for Zhongli, I can't help but think, here we go again. And this isn't just about Black Myth. I feel like it's becoming a pattern with these ambitious, big-budget Chinese games. They show up with these trailers that absolutely dominate social media. Millions of views, people calling them the next big thing. marketing. But when you actually see the real product, there's this massive gap between promise and delivery. Take Crimson Desert. Remember when that was first revealed? People were saying it looked like a mix of Witcher and Skyrim with MMO elements. It looked insane. But the latest gameplay, huge downgrade. The textures, the world detail, even the animations. They looked far less polished than what we saw years ago. And now, the game looks like it doesn't even know what it wants to be. Part RPG, part MMO, part action-adventure, but not really nailing any of them. Or look at Wuchang, Fallen Feathers. It's being pitched as this new Souls-like, but honestly, it just looks like Black Myth. Wukong with a female protagonist swapped in. Same animations, same UE5 effects, same dark tone. It's like they took the template of Wukong, changed the character model, and said, here's a new game. And when you start noticing that, you realize a lot of these projects are leaning way too hard on Unreal Engine 5's asset store instead of building something fresh. And that's where my faith starts to shake. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying these devs don't have talent. They clearly do. The art direction, the creature designs, the scale of the worlds, it's all impressive. But when the core gameplay and the technical performance fall short, all that hype just crumbles. And at this point, after Wukong's launch struggles and the downgrade circus with Crimson Desert, it's hard not to be skeptical every time another CGI trailer drops. So, here's a wild one for you. Red Dead Redemption 2 just became the 6th best-selling video game in history. 77 million copies sold. Yeah, you heard that right. A single-player, story-driven Western that came out back in 2018 is still moving units like crazy. Last quarter alone, 4 million copies. That's more than some brand new next-gen releases manage in their entire lifetime. And get this, for the last 7 years, it's officially the best-selling game in the US based on dollar sales. Not Call of Duty, not FIFA, not some big live service cash grab. Red Dead Redemption 2, a slow-burn, narrative-heavy outlaw simulator. That says a lot about what people actually want when the marketing noise dies down. Now, when you stack it up against the other heavyweights, it's in pretty legendary company. It just passed Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow to grab the 6th spot. Above it, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Ark Survival Evolved, Wii Sports, GTA 5, and of course, Minecraft at the top. And if you ask me, it's hilarious that a game about cowboys is hanging in the same sales charts as blocky Minecraft and Wii Bowling. If you enjoyed this video, hey, maybe drop a like. It really helps a lot and tells me you want more. Subscribe for day one gaming leaks and news, and check out these videos you probably missed. Trust me, they're worth it.